What if the best way to succeed was to fail? We're about to dive into the incredible story of a writer who set out on this massive 2-year project with one simple goal. But what he found at the end of it all wasn't what he expected in the slightest. It was something way more valuable.
It all kicks off with this brilliant paradox, one you've probably heard linked to Mark Twain. I didn't have time to write a shorter letter. It's this idea that being brief is actually harder than rambling on, and that one single idea, it's pretty much the theme song for this entire journey we're about to look at.
All right, let's hop in the time machine and go back to 2015. So you've got this novelist, T.W. Ian, and he's facing the classic creator problem, right? He's writing all these stories, but who's going to read them? The big question was, how do you build an audience from scratch? And his plan? Well, on the surface, it seemed totally straightforward. Step 1, give away free stories to people who, like to read stories. Make sense? Step 2, keep them coming. A new story every couple of weeks. And step 3, the kicker. Keep them short, under 1,000 words each. He figured, hey, a word limit, that'll make it easier, right? Yeah, about that. As he put it himself, oh, how naive I was. 'Cause that assumption that a word count would make things easier, oh man, was he about to find out how wrong he was. This simple little plan was about to turn into an absolute beast of a challenge.
And this is where things get really interesting. The whole project basically morphs from a marketing plan into, well, a creative gauntlet is the perfect word for it. It stopped being about getting clicks and started being a brutal, hardcore test of his writing skills. So let me break down just how tough this was. His first drafts, they were huge. We're talking like 3,000-word monsters full of what he himself called bloated descriptions and rambling dialogue. The real work, the soul-crushing part, was the editing. He had to slash and burn and carve those giant drafts down to under 1,000 words every single time. It was so much more demanding than he'd ever imagined. And think about it. You can't keep this up for over 2 years by writing the same old thing. He had no choice. The project forced him to get out of his comfort zone. He started jumping all over the place, different genres, weird perspectives, new writing styles. His website basically became this awesome little science lab for stories.
I mean, check this out. 1 minute, you get something dark and contemporary like this. It's so mundane. And then, bam, blood on the knife. You're immediately hooked. You have to know what's going on there.
And then, boom, he'd switch it up completely. Suddenly, we're in a sci-fi story about a ghost in the machine, right? Code that's writing itself. A totally different vibe. And then, why not? Let's jump into a gritty thriller. Just imagine that kind of variety, not just once or twice, but over 100 stories. He was basically doing a full-body workout for his creative brain.
Okay, so fast forward. More than 2 years go by. 100 stories are out there in the world. The project is done. And now we get to the big question. Was it worth it? Did it actually work?
Let's go back to why he started this in the first place, right? The whole point was to get readers for his novels. So, after all that blood, sweat, and tears, was it a success? Did he hit that original target?
And the answer is a short, sharp no. Just no. By that original goal, the project was a total failure, a complete flop.
And the reason why it failed is a huge lesson for anyone making anything today. He learned the hard way that just making cool stuff isn't enough. You can write the best stories in the world, but without any marketing, without that guiding beacon he talks about, you're just a drop in the ocean. Nobody's going to find you.
But this is where the story takes a turn. This is the good part. Because what looked like a total failure from the outside was actually the best thing that could have happened to him. The real prize wasn't getting website visitors. It was about how he, as a writer, completely transformed.
So, what were the real wins here? Well, first off, just doing that much work was like a creative boot camp. His writing and editing skills went through the roof. All that experimenting, it helped him find his unique voice, his style. And he figured out what he was good at and what he wasn't. He also learned that super important lesson that just posting stuff doesn't mean people will see it. And maybe the best part? It was a playground. A place where he could just try things without any pressure. Those were the real victories.
So really, we shouldn't even think of this as a marketing project that failed. It was a creative gauntlet, a personal, intense training montage that made him a much, much better writer in the end.
So you might be wondering, what happened to all those stories? Did they just gather dust on the internet? Nope. Not at all. Turns out, they were the building blocks for his entire future.
And here's the payoff, which is so cool. A character, this crime boss Borinov, who was just a throwaway name in one of these little short stories, he grew and evolved into a major character in his big novel series. It's amazing, right? These tiny little story fragments were actually the seeds for these huge sprawling worlds he would build later.
And what I think is really great is how honest he is about it all. He even says some of the early stories make him cringe now, but he leaves them up. He presents them as they are, like a time capsule of his growth as a writer. The good, the bad, and the cringy.
And in the end, that's what it all boils down to. It was never really about the clicks or the sales numbers. It was about the craft. It was about storytelling in its purest form, making you smile, making you think, maybe shocking you a little, but always, always entertaining you. And that, right there, was the real win.
Which kind of leaves us all with a big question to think about, doesn't it? Sometimes, the thing we think we're trying to achieve isn't the real point at all. It's just the excuse to go on the journey. So I'll leave you with this. What's a failure in your life that ended up teaching you something incredible?